excessive aggression of China foreshadows conflict with Taiwan and the U.S. The terrorist attacks in New Orleans and Las Vegas at the beginning of the new year highlight numerous threats that the U.S. faces, both domestically and abroad. They underscore the capability of violent Islamist extremists to launch attacks within the U.S., likely facilitated directly or indirectly by the Democratic Party's open border policies. Ongoing conflicts, such as the war in Ukraine, the horrifying attack on Israel in July 2023, the devastation of Gaza, and the collapse of the Assad regime in Syria, reveal a world fraught with political instability. Simultaneously, China's growing power threatens national security not only for its Asian neighbors, but also for the U.S. The pace and scope of Beijing's actions must be described as highly aggressive. Every week brings new evidence of Beijing's audacity, and this week is no exception. At the end of December, the Chinese Navy conducted combat readiness patrols around the disputed Scarborough Shoal, located 118 miles from Luzon Island. These actions are just one example of China's extensive military displays in the South China Sea throughout 2024. Similarly, in the final days of 2024, the Chinese Navy conducted unusually forceful deployments in sensitive areas, including straits near the U.S. Navy base in Okinawa, Japan. On December 22, 3 Chinese Navy frigates passed through the Miyako Strait between Okinawa's main island and Miyakojima, heading toward the East China Sea, China's gateway to the Western Pacific. This unprecedented maritime display, led by the 10,000-ton Zhaotuo-class patrol ship CCG, demonstrated Beijing's capacity for naval blockades. On January 2, China continued its patrols at Scarborough Shoal with the world's largest armed patrol ship, showcasing its military strength. Furthermore, Beijing launched its first Type 76 amphibious assault ship, Sichuan. With a displacement of over 40,000 tons, Sichuan is the first of its kind globally. It is equipped with electromagnetic catapult and arresting technology, enabling it to launch manned and uncrewed aircraft, similar to an aircraft carrier. This light aircraft carrier can also transport an amphibious combat battalion, adding a new tool to China's arsenal. These actions serve as deterrents against US allies in Asia, such as the Philippines and Japan. They are believed to send a message to Washington, aiming to exclude US influence from the region while preparing for military confrontation against the Philippines, Japan, Taiwan, and the U.S. itself. China's actions are not sporadic, but part of a comprehensive, coherent, unified daily strategy. Yet, President Biden has chosen not to respond to this threat, instead focusing on opposing Russia, placing US national security in a worse position than 4 years ago. Now, the Trump administration must address this issue promptly and decisively. Does China truly possess the power it claims? One notable point is that although outwardly, China seems extremely aggressive, its domestic situation is bleak. This populous country is facing a sluggish economy and threatening epidemics. On January 1, the Wall Street Journal reported that China's economy is burdened by years of excesses. In reality, this economy resembles a ticking time bomb. Economists had previously predicted that China would quickly overtake the U.S. to become the world's largest economy, expecting its GDP to surpass that of the U.S. by around 2030. However, China is currently grappling with slow growth and demographic challenges, making it more difficult to restore its economic strength. China's working-age population is declining, which was once seen as an advantage for driving economic growth. Furthermore, exorbitantly high investment levels have driven China's economy for decades. Initially, this strategy was effective, as investment created modern infrastructure and supported the expansion of production lines across the country. However, sustaining that strategy year after year means that today, China is burdened with massive debts, abandoned buildings, and industrial overcapacity. China's government, household, and corporate loans are nearing 300% of annual GDP. These debts' scale and repayment burdens are significantly more severe than in the U.S. The country's real estate boom is unprecedented, and its ongoing collapse is equally unparalleled. Construction and sales have plummeted since Beijing stopped the real estate bubble in 2020. According to the latest estimates as of late November, approximately 80 million apartments are vacant in China, equivalent to half the total number of homes in the entire U.S. Leader Xi Jinping has shifted investments toward the factory sector to counter the slowing economy and transform China into a technological giant. As a result, industrial capacity surged, and prices fell for Chinese manufacturers for 2 consecutive years. Still, they seek overseas buyers as they cannot sell their products domestically. This is causing trade disputes with the West and emerging markets such as Brazil and India. These are observations pointed out by the Wall Street Journal. However, the issues China faces today are far more dire. First, the world's largest real estate bubble in 2012, ghost cities were recorded in China with approximately 64 million vacant apartments. 13 years later, this number has risen to over 80 million apartments. Chinese banks are losing their ability to pay. While the market creates buildings with low demand, few people can afford them. As a result, China will have to print money to pay for all these misguided investments. Second, the collapse of bonds of China's largest real estate developer shares and bonds of real estate giant Country Garden Holdings, maturing in January 2024, have fallen to just 25% of nominal value, compared to 81% in mid-June 2023. This is a death knell for other real estate corporations in China. Goldman Sachs reported that urban housing demand in China dropped to 11 million units in 2023, down from 18 million in 2017. In the past decade, China has built an average of 13 million apartments annually, and the country now has about $9 trillion in inventory, including raw land and unfinished projects. This also highlights the unrealistic expectations of China's purchasing power, surpassing that of the U.S. China's growth is nothing more than a credit bubble. Cities are deserted, yet Beijing continues building to stimulate artificial economic growth. Many still believe that China is a nation of significant savings. According to the Wall Street Journal, China now has a debt-to-GDP ratio of nearly 300%, meaning the economy still borrows excessively. So, where is the savings in China? Printing money is not saving. Savings are production minus consumption. China's real estate bubble is a prime example. They believed they saved money by investing in the real estate bubble. However, all the Chinese cities that were invested in now have no value. That is, savings have become worthless, and debts continue to rise. China is also seen as a manufacturing hub, but everything Beijing does now is simply replacing the real estate bubble with a bigger manufacturing bubble to keep people employed. China is subsidizing exports at an unprecedented level just to maintain economic growth. And a tariff war on Chinese exports that Trump is about to initiate will undoubtedly cause Chinese consumers to continue paying the price for the government's policies. In addition to its economic crisis, China is also grappling with an outbreak of respiratory illnesses, particularly the HMPV virus. This virus is increasing cases across many northern provinces of China this winter, especially among children. HMPV shares many similarities with COVID-19, as both cause respiratory issues such as coughing, fever, nasal congestion, sore throat, and difficulty breathing, and both spread through respiratory droplets. We will continue monitoring the latest developments regarding this dangerous illness and provide further updates in our next video. That concludes our program for today. Thank you for your attention, and we look forward to seeing you in upcoming broadcasts. Goodbye, and take care.